Yo, what's up guys, the Insane Game Freak here to bring you another Nostalgia Rush, and this Nostalgia Rush deals with the series that single-handedly created one of the worst things compared to My Little Pony. And unfortunately it also has something to do with rainbows, and monkeys, and the fucking song! This is Codename Kids Next Door Nostalgia Rush. So, let's go. Alright, now Codename Kids Next Door is one of those cartoon shows that it's kind of hard to describe in a sense because it's one of those shows I liked, but it's not a show that inherently has a whole bunch of rewatch value. Most of what I'm going to say is stuff that's off the top of the dome that I remember. It's kind of like Fairly Odd Parents in the sense that you remember more of the specials than you do the actual, series. Like, I know Kids Next Door had a crossover with Billy and Mandy. We had the number 0. I think, what was the first one? The Operation Birthday or something along those lines. And then, the big, I think it was the season 1 special, the one at the end with Nigel. Them pretty much forcing Nigel to become an adult, but they didn't take it to the route that they took it to in the birthday special that came obviously after that. But to get into the premise of Codename Kids Next Door, it's essentially like the secret organization of children. Kids Next Door is a organization of kids all around the world, and their job is to kind of build their own bases and fight the tyranny of adults. Which is really funny because they end up dramatizing a fuck ton of things with adults and things adults do, like the horrors of eating broccoli, or oh man, it was just so much ridiculous shit. And like each of the villains were all kind of goofy and weird, like the candy pirates, which was the whole thing, that the sweets, the reason why kids aren't allowed to eat sweets wasn't because sweets were bad for your teeth. Well, granted, that was true too, but it was more because, the kids wanted them for themselves, or, and some of the villains I do remember, but not completely, like, oh boy, what's the dude's name? Braceface? Or something along those lines? The Bracinator, Toothinator, something along those lines. The dude who essentially, if you had messed up teeth, he went around and fucking fixed all the kids' teeth, but made them wear this ridiculous headgear for braces. And they just evilized the fuck ton of like basic adults. Like even the ice cream men were evil because they worked for Father, who was for the most part the main adult villain of the series. Which, if you've seen the special Codename 0, or Agent Number 0, the mind fuck that involves him. Along with a lot of things, actually, shit, that special was G as fuck. I also like how certain characters just had normal names. It was ridiculous. But the main base we stuck with, I believe, it's either 2 cent. What is it? It's like base. I used to know this shit off the top of my dome, but I'm gonna just I know. Is it 264, 274, something along those lines? Anyways, main characters. Number 1, Nigel Uno, because they all had code names and they were all signed by numbers. Number 2, Hoagie. I don't remember some of these characters' last names, and some of these characters just don't have last names. Number 3, Kooky. Number 4, Wally. Number 5, Abigail. These were the main characters. These were 1 through 5, and they went all the way up to like 370 something. It was ridiculous. I mean, the infrastructure for this base is retarded. I also love the fact that each episode's title actually had, were all acronyms. Like, it'd be Codename Toilet, or Codename Sugar Rush, or Codename Shogun, or Codename anything, and then the codename would actually be like an acronym for what the actual episode is about. It was ridiculous. And each character had their own kind of setups and relations to other characters. It was actually pretty funny. For example, Nigel Uno, or number 1, was like the leader, like the badass leader who took pride in being a badass leader. He's the one who really came up with all the plans and everything. He was like, well, not really came up with the plans, but he's the one who always lead the missions and pretty much had the objectives of what we're going for. In the early episodes, like the fucking beach episode, I think that was the pilot episode, where they spent all the time trying to get into the adult pool, but they had to stop are their names? Mr. Phil and Mr. Wig, I believe. Yeah, Mr. Phil and Mr. Wig, because, and for some reason, I never understood what the hell was up with their physical bodies, because I feel like Mr. Phil had like the walrus hands and the walrus teeth, and Mr. Wig had the fucking horns. It was weird as fuck. I didn't ever understood that. Certain characters look unnecessarily goofy for no reason. And there was always, and it was funny because for the villains, you had villain-specific episodes. You also had villains that were just complete jokes. Like, for example, I'm pretty sure this is not his actual name, but I forgot his actual name. But I remember him trying to refer to himself in this episode as this type of, like he calls himself the Tolinator. But I know that's not what he is. Like, I know, because he's like the goofball of the villains. Like, he's a villain, but no one takes him seriously. Granted, he does have a few badass moments, but he's a villain character, so for him to have a badass moment means that he's beating the crap out of Kids Next Door characters. But going back into describing each one of them, so number one, he was more of the planner. He's the hard worker. He's the guy who gets everything straight. I mean, the nigga had like a flawless record for the most part. Then you had number two, who was like he's the dude. He's the pilot. Like he designs all the aircrafts and. He's the fly boy for the most part, and they even had episodes centered around him being the fly boy. The problem is he's also really goofy and he's fat, and he has a younger brother called the Tommy. Well, technically he's just called Tommy, but as you progress through the series, Tommy, and I like the fact that the cartoon was one of those cartoons that, just like other cartoons, progressed as it went on. Like, certain things changed with certain characters. Granted, it wasn't like characters had arcs, but it was more like certain small things. Like, for example, when it came to Hoagie, you had the Tommy stuff show up, and that was a big deal. As we went on, then we go to number three, Kooky, who is the... I really understand I know she's kind of the... How would you describe this? Kooky is kind of weird because she's like the Japanese... And then, by the way, each one of these characters have different races. Like, Nigel... Like, number one is British. Number two, I think, is American. Number three is Asian. Number four is Australian. And number five is black. I guess that was the diversity thing, the equality of different races thing they were throwing in there. I do find it an interesting idea, and the fact that the main character is British, like, number one is British. At least that's what I gathered from watching his father, because we do get to see most of these characters' parents. I do kind of find it fucked up that number five's parents, at least her dad, I believe, is like a ripoff of Bill Cosby. I mean, they do the whole thing with certain adult characters, you don't see their heads. Like, they do that whole thing a lot of older cartoons did, where certain parents, you never see their faces for some fucking reason. But fucking... number five's dad being a parody of Bill Cosby bugged the shit out of me when I first saw it. I also find it funny because certain characters, like older siblings, number five, once again, are teenagers. Teenagers are, you would think would be a middle ground characters. No, teenagers work for adults. It's fucking ridiculous. Also, the Kids Next Door have these rules about, what happens, and you're probably wondering, well, what happens when a character gets to a certain age? Do they just become evil all of a sudden? No, they kind of explain it fairly well. They develop like dickish. They start developing dickish teenage tendencies, and they start referring to kids as snot-nosed brats instead of fellow kids. And so what they end up doing is when they reach a certain age, they have to get their mind wiped so none of the Kids Next Door information gets sent out to other motherfuckers, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. It's kind of fucked up though. It's like that's why, but it is kind of funny because it ends up indirectly explaining why adults don't remember their childhood and why adults can't relate to children, because adults are just kids from the Kids Next Door that got their mind wiped. Come on, you can't tell me that wasn't interesting in all right, and especially the special revolving around it, which led to a certain character becoming different. That's all I'm gonna say about that. You'll know who he is because in later seasons he's in the later seasons. That's besides the point. I'm so deviating from the character descriptions. Like, number three is the Japanese girl. She's weird as fuck, and she also is obsessed with the thing that kind of ruined a lot of kids' dreams, a lot of kids' minds when you fucking watch this show, the Rainbow Monkey shit. Fuck the Rainbow Monkey shit. That was insane. fuck you. If there was anything that would stick into your brain, it's the rainbow monkeys, and you're just like, oh, where's the flamethrower killer ball? And then we actually coming to that, we have number 4, who is exactly like that. He's the one who works on the weapons, but he's like the dumb one. Like he's like the all fighting but no like mental skills for shit. Which, you know, obviously we got to play it off. It was actually pretty funny in all honesty. He's probably one of my favorites out of the main 5. And then you had number 5, who was like the chilled out, cool black girl, which is weird because we usually don't get those type of black characters in cartoons. But fuck it, she was cool. She was a badass. It was like her and Nigel. If you get her and Nigel on the same page, the motherfuckers would go in and beast through every goddamn thing. Especially considering how much shit she had to go through because she had to fight. She has to fight her older sister like half the time. Which goes into the character relationships. For example, number 2 I think has a crush on number 5's older sister. And then I think number 3 and number 4 are like on and off dating. Or like crushing on each other. Because there's like so many random hints about it. Number 1 has a girlfriend. I think her name is Lizzie. Who is annoying as fuck. God, fuck you, Lizzie. Fuck you. You're like the Amy of Codename Kids Next Door, but just more frustrating. And the difference is you're not even cute. At least Amy is cute. You're not even fucking cute. You're just fucking annoying. A lot of people also think that number 1 and number 5 have an indirect romance going on. I know this, you know, obviously it's like, oh, why does it always come back to shipping? I'm like, because shipping is a part of the fandom. It happens. I like the ridiculous weapons, like the gumball, bullet, the fucking, I don't know what you call it. It's like a plank. It's like a springboard plank that like you hold it to someone and you hit it and the thing cuts back and it smacks the shit out of the person. It's kind of like a ting. Also like the giant rabbit robot they had. And it was cool because they had to come up with these creative ass devices to use in these certain situations. And yeah, space travel. They had the giant tree house. I like the fact that all the bases were tree houses in different parts of the world. They all look different. You even had like this little new recruiting thing for new students, which is the one thing I did like about the Tommy stuff, is that it did show how you would get into the Kids Next Door normally. Tommy was a beast, by the way. There were like certain fucking specials and like episodes. Tommy was getting it in, which is funny because he gets so much shit. Because like Hoagie gives him so much shit when we're first introduced to the character, but he grows and he's a beast by the time we finished. I was like, damn, Tommy, you went in, son. Also the fucking oh man. Also, I like their like goofy ass names. Like for those who've seen the specials, you know of the senior citizen zombies. That shit was ridiculous. They just came up with like the most goofy and weirdest terms for shit. Even the zombie hamsters, which that was creepy. That was fucking creepy. I don't really remember the Billy and Mandy special too much because not necessarily because I didn't like it, but just because it's been a minute since I've been kind of missing names and shit all over the place. Codename Kids Next Door has a lot of shit you would inherit. You would have to remember the names of the names of all the agents, their real names and their number code names, certain characters' affiliations with other characters, which I'm not gonna spoil for those because let's just say I'm just saying the best to me of Kids Next Door are the episodes that have some type of significance to them. I do remember certain ones, like for example the one where Nigel has like spent all this time developing this anti-adult system, and he's tired the fuck out, but he has to go to the award ceremony the next morning. So the whole point of the episode is to make him stay asleep because he's been working too hard. But all the adults want to randomly attack because for one, the fucking thing stops working. Only Nigel knows how to fix it, and Abigail's like, no, we're not waking up Nigel for that shit. And so you have all these fucking villains coming in and fuck with them, and it's just like, oh my god, this is not the goddamn night for this shit. Yeah, number 4 had to dress up like number 1 to go out with Lizzie. Fucking, yeah, the king, like the pirate. No, they were selling the fucking the butterscotch. Oh right, I forgot about that chick. The chick who sells the Girl Scout cookies had like this weird secondary ability where if you pissed her off, she turned into like the fucking Hulk. Because it was so ridiculous. I totally forgot about that chick. And it had, what was his name? Candy Beard? Is that what I'm thinking of? And it had to like distract him with that. It was just ridiculous, man. It was ridiculous. I'm trying to think of another one. Another one would actually be when number 2 creates like this formula that ends up turning him into like a teenager, and he starts like flirting with number 5's sister. This is the episode that kind of hints at him having a crush on her, and the entire episode he's trying to like get at her, but number 2 just pretends, keeps going back and forth switching between a teenager, which makes his friends attack him because teenagers aren't allowed in the Kids Next Door place. And him flirting with Abigail's older sister, which was weird and funny. I think her name is Cree. Yeah. It was just ridiculous. It was funny. It just had a lot of random and weird episodes. Even the episodes like the Rainbow Monkey shit with number 4 and number 3. And I like how each of the characters kind of interact with each other. Like what was the name of it? Like the werepoodles? The shit with the dogs eating the homework thing, that was ridiculous. I like how they take like the easy childlike things and they turn them into episodes and create like a mythos out of them. Like the Kids Next Door mythos is literally like the normal, like taking normal childhood things and turning them into things. Like turning them into more things instead of pointless random shit. That's the cool thing about Codename Kids Next Door. That's a mouthful when you're trying to talk normally. But anyways, that's essentially my thoughts on it. It was an enjoyable show. I still watch it from time to time. It's just one of those shows that I think if you're going to go back and rewatch it, you're probably going to go back and rewatch either particular episodes you liked or a special, son. The specials were G. Codename Zero. That was my shit. Especially the mindfuck. That mindfuck was great. Anyways, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game, but a win. And I'll catch you guys there. Peace.